Thando, hi, thanks for coming through. Thank you for sharing your journey with the community. Could you please tell the EHS community who you are?
Okay, my name is Thando Khumalo. I still carry the same name of Khumalo, but I'm actually in Lodge. I'm actually a national shake manager at a gospel lift truck company. I head all the regional branches from Joburg, Cape Town, Durban. So I was born in Katlehong and I was actually raised in Vosloorus. So my whole life has been in the East Rand. I've never moved around anywhere in the East Rand in Gauteng. I've been in this industry for 7 years now. So the qualifications that I hold in this field, it's the International Diploma for Occupational Health and Safety Professionals, which I did with the Bosch, and then Health and Safety Practitioner, NQF Level 5. And then I hold a Total Quality Management System Level 5. And then I did a Business Administration way back in 2014, which is Level 4. And then, I was interested more in graphic design. I was so into the media space because when I was in matric, that's the first thing actually I wanted to do. If you're coming from a black family, and black text is a big problem, as us as blacks. So it was quite difficult because I did a year doing graphic and website designing. So I couldn't continue. And now I was stuck and saying, okay, what am I going to do now? And I had to find a job. And that particular job started as a general worker. I started as a general worker as a stock take guy, which we were called material handlers at the time. And the whole journey of 2013, that's when I started working. I was raised by my mother. It's a single parent. So actually there's 4 of us. I have an elderly sister, and then it's a brother that passed away in 2015 due to an accident. And then I have a younger brother. So actually it's 3 of us left. So my relationship status, I have someone, but I'm not married. So I'm single. I do have 1 child that was born last year, 27 August. I'm very happy to be a father to that child. I love him with all my heart. Yeah. So I have a 9 months old baby. So my matric year was in 2011, and I was in Broadview High School, which is situated in Primrose in Germiston, Gauteng. And I matriculated there in 2011. And my favorite subjects there were actually arts and culture and computer. I was into media. I was into computers. I was into everything like that. But unfortunately, life took its own turn. So it didn't happen. Maybe God wanted me to be in the business of saving lives. I don't know. But this is where I found myself. And what I did actually dream of becoming was actually graphic design and a freelance. I'm still a freelance DJ with a group of 4 guys. So we've been doing this for way back, still in my high school days. I think I was still doing grade 9. We'd go to clubs, play, DJ, and all of that. So I'm still doing that. Something I do something I do for fun. And from 2011, I then progressed to Boston City campus, where I did my website and graphic designing. From early stages, I was into media, loved media, wanted to do everything about media. Unfortunately, then life took its own turn.
Fine enough. Also, I remember when I was in grade 10, father asked, dude, what do you want to do? Just answer. I want to be a DJ. He was like, you're mad. There's no way. So I wanted to do sound engineering. He told me there's no way, but I'm not going to waste my money. If you want to go to parties, being a DJ was not a job.
Yeah.
Like parents, I was like, I don't. This thing will send you to school, you won't make any money. Still be living off us, so I choose something else. Second choice, sports management. Big sports fan. Played rugby, cricket, soccer, did athletics. The one sport I was bad at was swimming. I was always last. But everything else, I think I did well. That was second option again. He said, you're mad. That's not a career. It's not a proper career. It's funny how most of us got into the field like you, wanting to be in the entertainment space, and eventually
When I found myself
getting
here.
the calling to come through to EHS.
Yeah, because
It's cool, man.
it's amazing how it actually began. Because in 2015, that's when I was actually officially appointed as a safety officer for a multi-client facility when we launched from City Deep. And they officially said, okay, we're going to make this official. You're going to handle quality and safety. So you're going to do both. Because at the time, I think I was more interested in quality rather than safety. I think the love for safety started dwelling into me around in 2017, that time. But I wasn't into it that much. I was just ticking all the boxes at the time because I couldn't understand what was going on. I was more on the business side, creating work instructions, flow charts for the business, making sure that you see what the risks in between in quality assurance, making sure that the input of that process and the output is carefully followed and there's no risks in between. So I was more into, because you'll see that in my profile, in my early days, that's where I did total quality management system. That was the first thing that I actually got into. But now when I sat with my manager, we had to put these together because they work hand in hand. So quality and safety work hand in hand. In order for you to actually have a proper flow, you needed to actually understand the safety side so that when you design your processes with health and safety inside, because that's where most of us make the mistake. We think about business first and we forget that we need to start and see where is the safety first of the people, put people first. But I think in between there in 2014, I was taken by UTI to do a learnership. That's when I did a business administration learnership. And in between, while I was a learner, I was also a safety officer on site. So then I got officially appointed in 2015 as a safety officer in a multi-client facility. But it was like safety officer / quality controller. So even at the time, the businesses they didn't understand this whole concept of health and safety. It was like a one-man show. I was the one running with everything, even though we had a guy that was appointed nationally as a national safety manager. But you'd only see that guy after a while. Everything had to be controlled, managed by you at that particular facility. And that's where actually I got officially appointed. Until then, in 2018, I resigned and got a job in Gospel Truck as a national safety practitioner. And that's where actually the love for health and safety actually, from 2017 going up, that's where the love of health and safety actually got into me. And I clearly understood now, because I was starting to attend short courses just to understand what is going on around this field, just to understand what is the requirement, what does the law want. And the concept behind it is not ticking the boxes. You need to understand, why are we doing this? So it was quite an interesting journey for me. I don't want to lie. Because having to actually consult with people, and it's like you said, to them was just, we were told to do this. They didn't have the understanding and the concept, why are we actually doing this? So that's where actually, yeah.
Okay. Can you just expand on getting the buy-in, both from management and from the employees? So what's your approach? What have you seen works for you in terms of getting that buy-in?
Yeah. So how I actually looked at it, and that is now how I saw it when I was doing ISO as well. There's an element, I think it's element 5, if I'm not mistaken. It's 5, element 5 of the ISO standards, which is leadership and commitment. And how I actually drive that, I don't know if you've heard of something that is called a cultural maturity model. So that model that actually gives you levels of where you see yourself company. So that actually assists you to actually see where you're actually going. It describes the journey of the organization and progress towards the safety excellence. So that's where I actually looked at that, because that's where you start looking at the first level, which is the emerging level, develop management commitment, because that's where you need to start. You cannot start with the employees. You need to start with the management, because if you're going to start with the employees, you're not going to win, because they're going to see the guys on the top not complying to this, and that's going to fail. Your management system will just fail. And how I started with that is actually the company that I'm in. Actually, I have a manager Actually, I report straight to the director. He's very into health and safety, and how he saw it as well. He said, I want to actually take you from the position that you're in as a practitioner and make you in a senior level. Because if you're in a senior level, these guys actually listen to you. You understand? Because I want you to be part of the leadership, guys, because they cannot press you down because you're not in their level. So he pushed me up and said, okay, let's start at the top. How we're going to do this is that we're going to push the responsibility to them. And how we're going to actually do this is that each and every incident that happens, they are going to take responsibility. Each and every, from a near miss, no matter how small it is, you need to come as the supervisor or the leading manager of that particular department. You need to come and actually explain yourself. Why did this happen and how did we get to this point? Because the culture that we are actually driving in the particular facility is that we are all in this. It doesn't mean that, yes, I lead the department, but it doesn't mean that I'm alone in this department. We lead it. So safety is everyone's responsibility. And I think we all hear that everywhere, but how we make people part of that problem. You understand? So they take responsibility of their certain departments as well. And they make sure that from the top, they make the guys understand from the bottom. And how we actually do it, we do what we call consulting and participation. So what we do in most cases, we involve the staff in whatever we do. There's something that they call change management in ISO. We cannot make any changes in the system if we do not involve people. And it's what I always say to my team is that when we do changes, we need to consider people, the process, and the product. Because once we consult, the people are going to tell you, the people in the field, they're going to tell you exactly what's going on down there. And the people who are not mostly in the field, they don't know what's going on. That's why you need to involve these guys. That's why I also saw the need to put that element as consultation and participation of workers. Because if you consult with these guys, you are able to actually work together as a team. You're not doing it as an instruction and say, okay, this is what's going to happen. That's it, case closed. But you need to make them part of this health and safety program and system so that these guys actually understand what we are trying to achieve as a company. But if you're going to exclude these guys, you're not going to win. Your management system is going to fail. And I can comfortably say that from a safety culture maturity model, from my side, we are still on a level 3, which is involving. We're still trying to involve people in the system and make them understand. And the more we involve people, the more they understand. Because we also did, I think this was last year, August, when we did our campaign. And it actually opened the guys' eyes to a point where we actually did an industrial theater kind of campaign. So this is how I actually imagined it. I said, okay, we want to do a campaign, but I don't want someone just standing there and just advising people and telling people this is what happened to me. I want people to actually feel a part of this campaign. And that's where I actually met this guy called Mr. Z, quite a good guy. And he was also part of the construction space. He knows health and safety and all of that. So we put this together, and he more does it in an industrial theater kind of way and makes the people involved. So he understands the business and then shows the guys the do's and don'ts of actually not following the health and safety instructions. And how I saw the guys at the end, because there was a guy that actually got amputated in the process. And you can see how it touched the guys because they now understood the importance of actually being working safely. Because I think to them, it was just before, they would just take a simple thing like a cut and say, let me put a duct tape, that's it, and then carry on with the job. But now they take it very seriously now because every little thing is reported, no matter how minor. Every little thing we take it to be recorded because that's where we're going to actually filter down and kill all these incidents that we've been having. And it's amazing how when you start seeing that people are being involved, people walking into your office, people sending you pictures of near-miss reporting, which is quite good. And that's how I make them part of the team. I make them part of the safety culture. I make them part of it so that we work together with making sure that we go back home safe.
Absolutely agree. Because that culture is important. Now, speaking to inclusiveness, because it's one thing I also learned the hard way. Because I think back in construction, what I did is I did it other way around. I started getting buy-in from the employees before I actually got it from management, which was a
Which is the
dismal
wrong way.
fail, but it was a good learning curve for me. I then since learned to actually do it the other way around and begin with management. Because as you rightly said, if you don't have the buy-in from management, the employees will see it. Because you'll find that on site, the employees are wearing all the PPE that's required. You then get the director. He comes on site, he's wearing techies, he's not wearing his vest. So then the employees were like, no, man. So these rules are only in place for us and not management. And they took me to task saying, we understand why we need to wear these, why this guy is not complying. So I then had to start getting the buy-in from the actual managing director himself. Yeah, but definitely the correct
Yeah,
approach.
it has to start from the top.
So I will take you back a little bit.
Okay.
Can you take us through your various roles within the AHS space? I know you had touched on it a bit earlier. If you can just start, like just basically the first one, is it DSV first, né? UTI?
Well, actually, it was UTI and then it merged actually to VT. We can start as DSV, it's fine. It's one company.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Can you just take us there and then up to where you currently are now?
Now, I started as a general worker doing stock take for the business. And they saw how actually I was tech savvy. And they pushed me and worked. I used to work night shift. And they actually pushed me to go and work day shift and start understanding the whole business. So that whole year was a general worker in 2013. And at that time, it was still UTI Supply Chain Solutions. And then in 2014, that's when I got introduced then to this health and safety. But in a way, the way I was introduced to health and safety, it was actually in a insurance audit. So they had mostly insurance audits and internal audits that were happening in between. And they had no one to actually do those assessments for them. So they pushed it down to me and said, okay, are you able to assist? And I said, okay, fine. I was happy because if they see a potential in you, I took the first opportunity that I got and I was ready to run with it. And they gave it to me and they said, okay, just go through the checklist and tick all the boxes. So that's how I started, because I started walking around the facility, checking the list that would say, okay, you must have a first aider, you must have a firefighter, you must have legal appointments. But I had to research those things. I had no one guiding me. All I had to do was use Google as a guide. And I would look at the checklist and then verify what is this that they're looking for? What is a fire hydrant? What is a hose reel? Okay, check. Was it serviced? So it was my whole cycle there was based on research and learning what is happening in between. And then we got audited in that year by Aon risk auditors. And they came and audited us and they found us 99% compliant, which when I looked at the previous reports, when I was not in that space, they used to get 50%, 60%. So there was they was just doing it for the sake of doing it. There was no buying into it. And bear in mind, in between, I was just ticking the boxes. The staff didn't have buy-in in anything like that. So you'd get someone, take that person, take them to first aid training. Okay, box, go to first aid training. Appoint the person when they come back from the first aid training. Appoint the person, firefighter, rest assessor. Fine, put them there. It was more like a ticking box exercise. But if I think back now, I can actually see that there was actually no buy-in. We were just actually ticking the boxes, making sure that we are compliant with insurance, making sure that the facility is in good condition. Then in 2015, we had to move because we were based in City Deep in Johannesburg. We had to move. So that particular customer was dealing with we were keeping stock. It was like a warehouse storage. We would manage the stock from receiving the stock and dispatching the stock out. So it was more like that whole cycle for the warehousing. Then we had to move and be a part of a bigger facility. I think that facility was 40,000 square meters, if I'm not mistaken. It was 40,000 square meters. And we had like 11 clients on site, which is what was very big. And I was appointed. And at the time when I was appointed, I got there And when I got there were construction happening all over. And they just told me, okay, we're going to appoint you. You're going to look after this facility. And at the time, I'm not officially appointed as as a SHEC officer yet. I would actually have to investigate, find out how do I make sure that when you have contractors on site, which processes do you need to follow and make sure that they are compliant? So my whole concept there was more on research basis. And at the time, I'd consult with the national safety manager at the time. Then they investigate, find out what do I need to do. And then I was actually still a business administration learner. That was around 2014. Then within that year, I went and did total quality management system just to understand the whole process from a quality point of view, from a good service and product quality, and what processes do you need to build into that and streamline that process and make sure that it's whatever service or product that we give to our customers is in good quality. And then further, from 2015, then I was officially appointed. After my learnership, I was appointed as a SHEC officer there on that particular site. So I was there from 2015 up until 2018, when I moved over to Gospel as a national SHEC practitioner reporting to a safety manager at that particular facility till 2021, when I actually took over the whole health and safety for Gospel Company.
Great journey. Great journey it's been. Okay. Thanks for that. Can you take us through what a normal day looks like in your current role? What are the tasks that you do on a daily basis to ensure compliance and make sure that the culture is correct?
So basically, my normal day is manage, monitor, and maintain ISO system and standards, develop and execute health and safety plans in the workplace according to legal requirements. Actually, ISO is set up in a way that everything is built into that particular system, how ISO was actually built and everything. So I prepare and enforce policies to establish a culture of health and safety, evaluate practices, procedures, and facilities to assess risks, conduct training and presentations for health and safety accidents, but how we actually change that around. Because before, if we had an incident, I'd be the one actually who's presenting those incidents. So it actually changed because we wanted people to be involved. So when an incident happens, the particular supervisor or manager must come and present the incident or accident that happened, and he must come up with solution, but he's not alone. I'm supporting him in that process as well in between. So then monitor compliance and policies and laws, inspect equipment machinery to observe possible unsafe conditions, investigate accidents and incidents, recommend solutions to improve their management system.
Okay. So tell me,
Mhm.
so you are the national SHEC manager for Costco with
Yes.
sites. Do you EHS practitioners based at the various sites, or how is the approach?
So I have a practitioner that reports into me here in Joburg. And then in other branches, we rely on safety reps. So we rely on safety reps to be the ones that actually look after those branches. So their role is much bigger because they're more like safety officers. The amount of work that I give them. And then we work hand in hand with workshop managers. So she rep works hand in hand with the safety rep. So if you look at it, the pressure that I put on them, they are more than qualified to go now and do a course and become safety officers. So I just have one that I work with here, and I think I'm going to add one in KZN because KZN has grown to be much bigger. So I'm going to actually add one person that's going to be a practitioner for that particular site, because there's other branches that they are small sites, so they don't actually qualify to have an officer.
So what is the most important lesson you've learned over your career within EHS that you'd like to share with those either starting in the field or those transitioning from whatever career they were doing into EHS?
Yeah. So the lesson that I learned through this career, and I'd like to quote a quote from Sir Brian Appleton, a safety assessor. He actually says, safety is not an intellectual exercise to keep us in work. It is a matter of life and death. It is the sum of our contributions to safety management that determines whether the people we work with live or die. You know that statement, I read it, I think in January. We had our strat meeting in January, and I read that statement. And one of the business development managers said, "Shoot, that was a hard statement." And I said, the truth, because the contributions that we put into the safety management determines whether the people that we work with live or die. And when I read the statement, it hit hard because I understood what this guy was actually saying in this quote. Because think about it, your risk management, that's your first thing that gives you an overview of the business, of the whole system and particular place that you are dealing with, whether it's construction, whether it's warehousing, whether it's forklift business, whatever. But your risk assessment is your baseline. That's what gives you an understanding of what is actually going on around here. What are you dealing with? What are your high risks? And those contributions start in your risk assessment, because whatever you identify in your risk assessment, you must be able to put those, whatever controls that you put in place, those contributions, you must make sure that they are the ones that actually help those people. Okay, some of the risks you cannot eliminate entirely, but whatever controls you put in place, you minimize that risk and make sure. So it goes back to that quote when he says, whatever contributions we put determines whether these people live or die. Because if we decide that, okay, for maybe if I make an example, for someone that's working with battery acid, for example, that particular person, the less control that we can give the person is PE, which is not always a good control measure. And just say, that's it. Give that person PPE and then leave it to him. And if something happens to that person, they go back and check that risk assessment and they identify that, no, man, actually, there was no thought put into this risk assessment, because actually, you let this guy down, because whatever measures that you put in place need to make sure that particular person, even though they get injured, but it minimizes that person, whether they get amputated or you get a fatality. And that's what we don't want. We want to make sure that we minimize the risk. And that is basically what I'd actually advise people that want to actually come into the space, because, or already into the space, your risk assessment is your baseline. Whether you like it or not, it is your baseline, because that's where actually your management system starts. Because if you look at the PDCA methodology, gives us a nice picture of how actually you actually can implement your management system. And I'd say you must also be passionate. You need to be passionate to do this to be in this line of career, because you can see in my line of career, I gave my all into this career line because there was nothing else for me, because at that time, that's what I had. That's what was the opportunity that I was given. And what I told myself is that I'm not going to take this thing lightly. So I need to be passionate about what I'm doing and listen to people as well. Listen and be patient, because what I've seen through my career is that you have safety officers that are aggressive. They have an aggressive approach to health and safety. And that's not how it should be, because once you have an aggressive approach, you're pushing people away, because people will not give you what the output that you are looking for. So listen and be patient and involve people, consult with people, because those people are the ones that actually will determine that you have a successful management system, because you need to work with them. And take knowledge and put into practice, very important piece of the puzzle, because the more you learn around people, it's like I said, I'm learning every day in this field. I learn every day. I look at guys like you, Lithemba, every time on LinkedIn. The things that you guys post, it's things that keep us running as safety people in this industry, because you cannot say that you're 100%. There was a time when one of the auditors, I think it was an ISO auditor that came from, I think it was TUV North. He walked into the boardroom and I was about to be audited. He said to me, "Are you going to get 100%? And I said, "No, I'm not going to get 100%. And he said to me, "Why do you say that?" I said, "There's always something in health and safety to work with. There's always opportunities for improvement in health and safety. You can never say that you're 100% in health and safety. If that particular person comes to me and says, I walk into their site and they say they're 100%. And he said to me, if you said to me you were 100%, I was going to walk out of here because there's nothing for me to advise on or give you opportunities for improvement. You understand? So to me, that's the kind of mindset you must have as a safety officer or safety manager, whatever safety work that you do. You must always know that in safety, you can never be 100%, but there's always opportunities for improvement. Because we as professionals, we're in the business of saving lives, to be quite honest. We're in the business of saving lives.
Absolutely. I love that auditor. Yeah, no, thanks for that. Thanks for that. I know you just touched on it a little bit in the answer you just gave me now, but I'll then ask you again. In your opinion, what is the most important personality trait or strength someone would need to be successful within EHS?
Yeah. For me, you need to be passionate about this. You need to put your 100% into it, passionate and be committed to it. Because hence I said, you cannot have an aggressive approach to it because you're dealing with people and you're dealing with emotions. You're dealing with people. People come from wherever they come from with their lives. People live different lives. Someone is fighting with their wife. They come at work and they start working and they're stressed, and you are coming there with an aggressive approach. You're adding more to that stress. So you must be able to actually listen and be patient. And most of these guys actually, there's something inside these people because there's a lot of different dynamics that you actually find yourself in because you're dealing with people and you need to really be passionate and committed into this industry. That's just like what I can give them, Litem.
Absolutely. Because if the passion is not there, it will show. And the people will tell a good no,
Yeah.
you're just here to collect a salary just like everyone else. And it then becomes difficult.
Yeah.
Because the moment you are not passionate, you'll start taking shortcuts also and finding excuses and accepting excuses for
Yeah.
non-compliance.
And that's dangerous. Very dangerous spot to be in. That's a dangerous space to be in where you find yourself being complacent. Can never be complacent because you're actually putting people's lives at risk because you're the one given that task to actually be the eyes, be the ears around this management system. Once you become complacent, you must be aware that something is coming.
True, true, very much agree.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
you
which
need
was
to be,
thinking,
yeah,
yeah,
you need to be very active, not reactive. I think that's what we are taught, most of us and professionals. Be active, always active, and not be reactive.
yeah, and it's unfortunate for us because you can always tell because I think the biggest tell sign is the amount of accidents that happen in the workplace. I think that's the clearest way to determine whether the culture in a particular workspace is
Yeah.
good or if it's terrible. Yeah, so definitely. Even the near miss reporting, as you had mentioned earlier. So each month there's a target. We need to
Mm.
identify a certain number of near misses within the workplace and then also have a closure rate percentage of those actual
Mm.
near misses. Because again, with near misses, if I as Olithemba come to you, Thando, I raise a near miss, saying, for example, there's a light out in the production area.
Mm.
I report it to you. It's on the system. A week later, that same light, still an issue. 2 weeks later, the light is still an issue. Eventually, I'm going to stop reporting near misses because then what's the point?
Yeah,
I report,
yeah,
which is what
because
you want. Nothing
mm,
gets done. So the employees end up losing interest. And it's no, man, we're
yeah,
just doing this for numbers. Yeah.
true.
So in terms of your family, do they understand what you do? How would they describe it? How would they describe what you do?
They actually don't. They just know that I just do. They know the term health and safety, but I don't think they understand what exactly I'm doing. They don't understand at all because it's even hard to have a conversation with me because they don't understand the space that I'm in. They don't understand, unfortunately. They just know, okay, he does what we call health and safety and quality. I think my sister has a little bit of idea in terms of quality, what I do, because there's a guy at their workplace that does quality. But in terms of safety, they don't know.
There's definitely a lot of work that needs to be done to get that understanding.
Sure.
Because a lot of people, it's like safety officer, or it's one of those people that comes and tells us what to do, that wants to stop us from working, doing the job for silly reasons. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
that was also one of the challenges I had in the beginning. It was like, man, whenever we see you, you are here to stop us from doing our work. An activity that normally takes us 2 hours will take us 4 hours because we now need to do it safely. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's still a lot of work to be done in order to
Yeah.
get that
There is.
understanding. Yeah,
Definitely there is, because there's the metal focus given to this space. Even from an aerial point of view in a country, it's actually not given the attention that it needs, actually.
yeah, true, man. So yeah, hopefully within the next 5 to 10 years, our industry will be more prominent and get the actual funding it deserves. Because at times,
Mm,
a lot of people in the field have issues in terms of finances. Because at times you'll
mm,
find out that when it comes to budget cuts, EHS is one of the first to start losing
yeah.
the budget. Because at
Mm.
times it's seen as, how do I put it?
They don't
It's
see any
not as
value.
important. Yeah, that war. There's
Mm.
always that war. People will tell you that
Yeah.
either production or safety. Production is always first, safety is secondary,
Mm.
where it should be actually the other way around. So yeah, no, we definitely have a lot of work to do
Yeah,
to
definitely.
get it prominent.
And in fact, what you started, Lithemba, I really don't take this platform lightly, because I'm still looking forward to meet more people in this platform and see people going through this interview with you, because that's where you actually learn around, and that's where we actually can give each other some advice on how we can actually go forward with this and make people aware that we're out there. At the moment, we're just hidden, and people don't see the value of safety professionals. And I think this platform of yours, man, it will open a lot of ears and eyes.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I hope so because a lot of people in EHS not in the forefront. Yeah, so we need to start taking a
Mm.
stand and come out of the shadows, man. Because you'll
Definitely.
find careers like accountants, people that are accountants, those are your more prominent. Like an accountant, everyone knows, we understand.
Mm.
Lawyers, same, we understand. EHS, not so much. Because at times you'll
Yeah.
find people, what do you do? I've never even heard of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully, as I was saying, within the next 5 to 10 years, it will
Yeah.
start getting
Definitely.
more prominent and get the necessary attention it deserves.
Definitely.
So yeah,
And there was, I think, in my previous camp, what do you do? I'm like, so I've got to a point where I don't even say Shrek anymore. And they says, what? Shrek? Yeah, Shrek. I'm like, no, but I just do compliance. I just close it there. I just do compliance.
definitely an easier answer. Yeah, man. Okay. Yeah, no, that is it for my questions. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the community, or is there a question you had hoped I would ask you that you might have an answer to, or just
No, not
anything you
really.
just would like
Actually,
to share?
no, actually, you've covered most of the things that are important and very vital for the people to hear. And my only advice is that let's get ourselves out there. Let's do what we do the best we do. And most importantly, let us not look down on each other, because I think we need each other as much as possible, because we learn from each other. And let's use this platform to actually learn from each other, because you'll find that as safety professionals, we are good at, there's certain things in the management system that we are experts in. You can be an expert in the fire side. We can be an expert in the risk management side. So that is why it's actually quite good to have these kind of platforms, and they actually give you a different overview on how you look at things. I'd say to the people, let us not lose the momentum. Let's carry on doing what we do best. Let's learn from each other. And biggest advice for me, don't be an aggressive safety officer. I deal with a lot of safety officers because of the industry that I'm in. So we service and maintain machines out there in the field. And some officers, I don't know if they are unhappy or they're just aggressive. I don't know why, but that's not the approach you must have as a safety officer. You mustn't be an aggressive person, because if you're giving me that kind of view of yourself, It just tells me how you manage your management system in your environment. Because we're in the same field, we need to understand each other and don't be aggressive. And you'd find some other people, they wanna look down on you because they want to show you how knowledgeable they are on health and safety. And it shouldn't be that way. We should actually learn from each other. We shouldn't look down on one another because you know much more in this particular space. Instead of you showing us how you got there, teaching us how you got there, and don't be aggressive. Don't look down on other safety officers. Give them the same respect, and then let's learn from each other.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I think also one thing that assists in terms of how you deal with people is, as I rightly said, do not be a safety cop or the safety police.
Yeah,
That's how you lose your management. That's how you lose your employees. Because as soon as they see you,
definitely.
they'll just put on the earplugs or whatever because it's you, the safety guy is here again. So that's definitely not one thing you want. Because for me, it's always educate. That's my approach. See someone doing what they are not supposed to be doing, initially educate, find out why are they doing it this way. Because at times people don't actually break the rules or don't comply. Because, for example, we buy them earplugs and the guy will tell you, these earplugs are not comfortable. So I would
Mm,
like to
mm,
wear them, but they're not comfortable. So then it's up to us then actually engage the employees, find out why they're not complying and actually assist them
mm.
to comply. So it's important to engage the guys
Definitely.
and not run away from you because then you start getting hated within the work
Yeah,
environment. It's,
yeah,
there he is coming. So
yeah,
approach it from a teacher perspective. Engage the people,
definitely.
understand what issues do they have, because they will tell you we write SOPs. The guys have the SOPs, they don't follow it for whatever reason.
Mm,
So it's really important to get that feedback. And as you had said also earlier on, the involvement, get the people involved
yeah,
whenever change management also. If there's a change coming, you're buying a new piece of equipment, or we are changing our ways of work, include the guys from the onset, get
mm,
their understanding, because they can tell you even before you've implemented that this will not work for these particular
mm,
reasons.
mm,
Or the quicker way or the safer way to do it is this way. Hence, because there was a post also earlier that I think last month there was a walkway, pedestrian walkway, and then the guy was actually taking a shortcut because the shortcut through the grass was actually quicker than going around, which didn't make sense. And so I think that's the best approach also. Involve the
yeah.
people at the onset, at their buy-in. They'll tell you where the potential pitfalls are. But again, man, thank you again for coming through and taking your Sunday to speak to us and share your journey with the AHS community.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.